So a very good afternoon to all brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Today is Sunday, 20th August 2023. We'll be continuing our sharing from this book, Understanding the Heart and the Mind, based on a book spoken by me in the year 2018, September. Okay, so as usual, we will have our pre-puja. Let us compose our mind and we will proceed with the pre-puja. Why? Can you hear me? Hello?
I off already.
Oh, already. Okay. Let us compose our mind. Develop the Saddha Virya. Then mindfully we shall commence the puja chanting. Namo 本师释迦牟尼佛。南无本师释迦牟尼佛。南无本师释迦牟尼佛。南无观世音菩萨。南无观世音菩萨。南无观世音菩萨。南无阿弥陀佛。南无阿弥陀佛。南无阿弥陀佛。南无弥勒佛。南无弥勒佛。南无弥勒佛。南无普贤菩萨，南无普贤菩萨，南无普贤菩萨，南无地藏王菩萨，南无地藏王菩萨，南无地藏王菩萨，南无佛菩萨，南无佛菩萨，南无佛菩萨。阿拉汉萨玛萨布多巴嘎哇。พุทธังภะคะวันตังอะภิวาเทมิสุขโตภะคะวะตาธัมโมธัมมังนัมมัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนะมามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะบุตตังสารนังกัจฉามิธัมมังสารนังกัจฉามิสังฆังสารนังกัจฉามิดุติยัมปิบุตตังสารนังกัจฉามิดุติยัมปิธัมมังสารนังกัจฉามิดุติยัมปิสังฆังสารนังกัจฉามิตติยัมปิบุตตังสารนังกัจฉามิตติยัมปิธัมมังสารนังกัจฉามิตติยัมปิสังฆังสารนังกัจฉามิปานาติปาตาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิอาดินาดานาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิกาเมสุมิจฉาจาระเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิมุสาวาทาเวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิสุราเมรยามัจจาปมาดัฏฐานะ เวรมณีสิกขาปดังสมาธิยามิสาธุสาธุสาธุ Okay, let us pay respect Triple Gem. Buddhang Pujemi. Dhammang Pujemi. Sanghang Pujemi. Okay, you all can be seated. Okay, just relax body and mind, maintain some form of awareness. Then we shall continue. Turn to page 6 of the chanting book. We shall chant the invocation to the Devas. Invocation to the Devas. In this universe, in the entirety, let the Devas and deities come here. Let them hear the good teachings of the King of Sages, which gives heaven and release, Nibbana. This is the time to listen to the teaching. This is the time to listen to the teaching. This is the time to listen to the teaching. Samantaha Chiyakawalesu Atraha Kachantu Devata Saddhamang Munirajasa Sunantu Sakemokadang Dhamma Savanan Kalo Ayang Badanta Dhamma Savanan Kalo Ayang Badanta Dhamma Savanan Kalo Ayang Badanta Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa Iti Piso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vijacarana Sampanno Sugato Lokavido Anuttaro Purisa Dhammasarati Satta Deva Manusanang Buddho Bhagavati Swakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditiko Akaliko Ehipaseko Opanayiko Pachyatang Veditabo Vinohiti Supatipanno Bhagavato Sangho Ujupatipanno Bhagavato Sangho Yaya Patipanno Bhagavato Sangho Samichi Patipanno Bhagavato Sangho Yadidang Chattari Purisa Yukani Atta Purisa Pugala Esa Bhagavato Sangho Ahuneyo Pahuneyo Dakkeneyo Anjali Karaneyo Anutterang Punyang Ketang loka sati sadhu sadhu sadhu. Okay, now we shall continue from where we stop. We are at page 40. The point number, appendix 1, point number 5. Page 40, number 5, the last sentence. Okay. So the title of this book is Understanding the Heart and the Mind. Just to recap. So we have almost finished this book, which is very good. So now we are at the appendix, item number 5. This appendix is very good because it summarizes almost everything that I shared in point form. So for those who have the interest, you will be able to relate to it and develop the understanding better. Okay, I'll read on. One needs wisdom to live life well. So this one is obvious. Without wisdom, you cannot understand life, and without wisdom, you cannot live life. So one needs wisdom to live well, to live life well. To understand oneself, one needs to understand the consciousness, the physical body, and the life force. Because our form and mind basically is dependent originating. So dependent on three causes or condition behind it arises. So what are the three causes and conditions? One of them is we must have a physical body. The other one is we must have a consciousness trapped inside, at birth to the coming process. Then after that, you receive the life force from your heartbeat to sustain life. So these three are very important. Any of these three, no more condition to arise. Means the form and mind will cease to be. Means it can no longer sustain life because the causes and condition behind its arising is not there anymore. So the arising of a human being or a living being is very important. Without that, there is no segmented life. There is no coming to this existential world, this universe, to manifest as that individual segment for each and every one of us to live life, to experience life, to go through life, and to maybe repay your karmic past and all those things. So everything that is related to life, they are all governed by all the spiritual law or nature's law that governs life and existence. And the main one is the law of karma. Then to understand ourselves, we must understand not only this law of karma, we have to understand how we function as a human being, which means we must also understand the law of mind. So apart from karma niyama, the law of karma, we must also understand chitta niyama. Chitta is mind, the mundane mind and the true mind. So when we understand chitta niyama, means we understand the law of dependent origination, paticca samuppada. Then we will know how we function as a human being. So dependent on what arises what. So for us to arise, to manifest as a living being, or in our case is a human being, for us to speak, to be conscious, to arise all the conscious activity, perception, sankhara activity, mental proliferation, and mental thinking. all this follow this law of mind, chitta niyama. So according to the teaching, the Buddha said the first one, the first two links are very powerful. He said, avijja paccaya sankhara. Avijja is ignorant. So dependent on ignorance, it creates thought activity, which is sankhara, thinking. And what is avijja? What is ignorant? Ignorant of what? Ignorant of who we are, what we are. Ignorant of all the nature's law that governs life and existence. Ignorant of basic Dhamma or truth. That's why when we don't have clear understanding, means we have ignorance. And the main culprit is self-delusion. Sakkaya or self-delusion is the main one. And that one can bring forth a lot of delusion that condition the three evils of greed, hatred, and delusion that brings about karmic negativity, downfall, suffering, and misery. So all these are related. Law of karma, karma niyama, moral causation. So if there is no wisdom before a being become enlightened, then this link, avijja paccaya sankhara, is very powerful. That's a living being think a lot. They are heedless, constantly lost in thought, reacting, proliferating, chattering, verbalizing, commenting, and doing all those what they call heedless activity, deluded activity, thereby conditioning our wrong thought, to condition our unnecessary suffering, misery, and affliction. Yeah. So all your fear, worry, anxiety, sorrow, lamentation, insecurity, phobia, everything, they come to be because of your delusion, ignorance. Because of that sakkaya deity, the ignorance, it trigger off the three evil roots of greed, hatred, and delusion and make you evil. And the main activity that is behind all this is actually sakkaya deity, self-delusion. Yeah, we believe we exist. We are a permanent, unchanging entity. We are real. To meditate is to silence our mind so that we are aware to awaken to all this truth. So this is what awareness-based meditation is. When we are aware, we can understand, we can see. When we are not aware, we are lost in thought, preoccupied with all the thinking, the activity of mind, the frivolous and heedless thinking. So no amount of thinking can actually bring forth the understanding because thought is limited. And thought, being egoic, not only is limited, is full of avijja, ignorance. So unless there is wisdom born of the direct seeing, the wisdom developed through the three turnings of the Four Noble Truths, which is Suttamaya Panya, Chintamaya Panya, and Bhavanamaya Panya. Without this wisdom connected to the form and mind, the form and mind is deluded. The thought that arises become egoic. But once there is wisdom, then this form and mind is transformed. No more avijja, no more delusion, no more ignorance. Then it breaks free. When it breaks free, sakkaya deity no more, then there is no more ego or personality to deceive you. to bring about selfishness, possessiveness, covetousness, greed, hatred, delusion, the expression of fear, fear of the unknown, fear of losing your career, your job, your loved one, your possession, and whatever. So all this is very, very important. That's why without wisdom, living being will grasp, cling, and hold. So this understanding is very important. Then the last one is the right view regards to the law of truth, Dhamma Niyama, the third spiritual law that governs life existence. So I repeat, Karma Niyama, Chitta Niyama, and Dhamma Niyama. With these three understanding, then you can understand yourself. You can understand who you are, what you are, and how you function as a living being, and how you can liberate from that delusion. Then you will understand also all the nature's law that governs life and existence, especially the spiritual law. Then you know how to live life. You know how to develop the clear understanding of what is going on within existence. Then you can also realize the unconditioned, which is beyond the existential world, beyond the existential world of duality, which is the mundane existential world. So the mundane Dhamma can also be realized. And the unconditioned Dhamma or the supramundane Dhamma can also be realized. So to understand fully life, we need to understand both the conditioned and the unconditioned Dhamma. So now we go back to the sharing. Just as I told you that sharing the three important conditions. Point number 5. To understand oneself, one need to understand consciousness. Means the consciousness that is trapped inside since birth, then that receive the conditioning, the whatever accumulated memories, views, opinion, conditioning, belief system, etc. Even including your phobia, psychological memory, mechanical memories, and all the memories. Then we must have a proper physical body, functional. All the organs are still functioning. Then there must be this life force, or we call it the karmic force, the powers of life that actually arise through our karmic nature. When we are born into this world, the moment you are born, the life force follow you. So that trigger the powers of life, that pumps your heart, that sends all the blood which has the oxygen to nourish your organ, all of your physical organs, including your brains. That's why everywhere where this blood is there, because the blood has this life force, and that one is also your life force consciousness, or what we call from your karmic nature, it also has the ability to be conscious. So when you are aware, you can establish awareness over what is going on there. So all this give you the understanding why wherever there is blood, it has the consciousness there. So all this are understanding that will arise when you cultivate the awareness-based meditation and you develop the understanding of mind, both the true mind and the mundane mind. The mundane mind is the one that is dependent originating. From the true mind, it arises. So to see that you must develop the meditative stability of mind to be in the state of awareness without thought. Then from there, you see how you function as a human being, how thought consciousness come to be. Like the physics experiment which I explained, upon contact, the light bulb lights up. The lighting up is just like you become conscious. Because we have the senses, we can become conscious of what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, what we tactily feel and think. So this process is very important. So the ability to be conscious is the first thing that arises. Then like the Buddha said, in the seeing, there is only the seeing consciousness. At that moment, there is no avijja, no one to see as yet. But the moment the egoic mind with the delusion come in, it condition the egoic personality. Then it cling on to it and say, I see, therefore I am. So this is how delusion set in. When the personality arises, the I, which is the ego, they will develop the evil roots of greed, hatred, and delusion. Just when you think you exist, you develop this delusion to attach and to cling, where you try to own things, you try to possess things, you try to have things, you try to control things. Yeah. Then when things don't go your way, when you perceive something you don't like, you develop emotion like anger, hatred, delusion. Delusion means when you cannot understand, there is fear, there is worry, there is anxiety, there is sorrow, there is lamentation. Means you cannot resolve it. You have problem, you have entanglement in life. So these three are very important. The physical body, how you engage it with the consciousness to arise a respective consciousness. Then the life force that keep you alive. Yeah. Then after that, we need to understand the brain, the mind. Yeah. So the brain and the mind is actually the mundane mind and the accumulated memory. Then we also need to understand there is another organ within our system, which is the heart. Yeah. So this part, very few people understand. That's why I explain it. So the three conditions that animate us into a living being or human being in our case is now very clear. Huh? You need the consciousness that is trapped inside since birth and receive all the conditioning, whatever exposure, accumulated memories that we have. Then we have a physical body that continue to grow. Then these two, together with the life force, become animated into a human being. Then how we function as a human being, we already explained the first part. We have the senses that can make us conscious of what we see, what we hear, what we smell, what we taste, what we tactily feel and think. After that, what happened? That is what meditation is. After you become conscious, what do? Find out in your meditation, awareness-based meditation, your daily mindfulness. If your mindfulness is not stable, you cannot see. All these movement inside the mundane mind, they are very fast. The moment there is contact, before even the consciousness arises, actually, the habitual tendency, the accumulated memories, your views, your opinion, your conditioning, your belief system, they will come in and act. And immediately they input the content of consciousness and you stir your mind. And all the movement develop very, very fast. That's why you become like emotional, affected, and conditioned into those activities. And this is what existence and life is all about. To see all this and develop the understanding is meditation. You need awareness, you need sati, you need mindfulness to see all this. Without a stable mindfulness, you cannot see. Yeah. Then when you can see, everything becomes different. You can be at the moment of contact, at the moment of consciousness, at the moment of perception, at the moment of feeling, at the moment of activity of mind. How after that the content of consciousness went in, and how it affect the individual, how it developed the movement within. And this is how Paticca Samuppada comes about. Avijja Pacca Sankara, Sankara Pacca Vijnana. Because Sankara is mental activity. You go and make contact with the brain. So when you make contact with the brain, like the physics experiment, the light bulb lights up. That lighting up is Vijnana. That is your mental consciousness. That mental consciousness is what the Buddha meant by at the moment of seeing. There's only the seeing consciousness. That consciousness is a pure consciousness without the content. But the moment you input the content, it becomes namarupa. Namarupa. That's why avijja pacca sankara, sankara pacca vijnana, vijnana pacca namarupa. Namarupa. And namarupa is the five aggregate of form and mind. This is the mental five aggregate, not the first aspect as a human being. This one is a second aspect as a thought. So when the content goes in, it becomes a thought. So that five aggregate of form and mind, the second aspect is the thought. Without the content, is the pure vijnana. Once the content go in, it becomes the namarupa. Namarupa. Then dependent on this thought process, there must be sense basis. Otherwise, it cannot arise. You can find out. Without sense basis, it cannot arise. That's why only conscious living being can give rise to that type of activity. Yeah. So without consciousness, all these are not possible. So to have consciousness, you need the sense basis and the life force and the consciousness. So these three, they must be there. Yeah. Then after that, dependent on sense basis, you will come to know there must be contact. Because without contact, sense basis got no use, no meaning. So that's why avijja pacca sankara, sankara pacca vijnana, vijnana pacca namarupa. Then the Buddha said namarupa pacca salayatana. That is a sense basis. Then salayatana pacca passat. Passat is contact. So you will see the process. Then passa pacca vedana, feeling. Initially it's just feeling. It can be pure feeling, neutral feeling, pleasant or unpleasant feeling. Pleasant and unpleasant means your mind stir already. So when it stir means it will condition the next link, which is tanha, craving. So craving are your positive and negative, like in this line. Then after craving, it intensify and it become grasping. Tanha pacca upadana. Yeah. Then from there, it condition becoming bhava. Then from there, it become transgression. Hence arise the whole mass of suffering. And this is what the real Paticca Samuppada is all about. So this understanding is very important. Okay, I move on to the next one, number 6. Mind is linked to the brain because brain is memory and thoughts are respond to memories. So this one now easy to understand. Thought consciousness comes about when mind consciousness make contact with the brain. This is what the beginning is, just I explained. Before one develops the wisdom via meditation, this one pointing to the brain is held. Because when one acts according to memory, which is the accumulation of all your good and bad experiences, including your views, your opinions, your belief system, of course, before you become enlightened, your delusion has a drop. So if you do that, acting according to memory, one is not acting at all. Most of the time, the accumulated experience are your negative psychological memories, which are your scars of memories, your fear, your worry, your anxiety, your phobia, your sorrow, lamentation, and insecurity, etc. Human beings want to be secure and safe in life. And this one thing is a craving, born of satiety, self-delusion. Nowadays, the world seems to be less safe. Human beings seek safety and security. Therefore, their insecurity is the root cause of their fear, worry, and anxiety. One should instead act according to wisdom, born of noble eightfold path, understanding, to resolve all matters and issues amicably. Okay, point number 7. According to Lord Buddha, the highest security or only safe refuge is to take refuge in the Triple Gem. The Buddha is perfect in wisdom and virtue. Thus, he has the Dhamma. The Dhamma is also his teaching. Then the Sanghas are the enlightened disciple of the Buddha. And therefore they also have the Dhamma as well. With the Dhamma, one knows how to cultivate following the advice of the Buddha, to avoid all evil, do good, and purify the mind. One must take care of karma and develop wisdom. According to the Buddha, the highest security in life is to have virtue, for virtue is your highest protection. If you want to have a good life, or the good life, do not break the precept. Because do good begets good, and do evil begets evil. Without fear, your mind stays up peaceful, calm, and secure. There is no need to have worry or feel insecure, because you can count on your own karmic nature. Means not only your karmic nature, also your spiritual nature is your cultivation. So your own nature got two, karmic nature and spiritual nature, to support and protect you. Virtue is the highest and best protection. If you know the law of karma, you will understand this. Because you need wisdom to have virtue. Without wisdom, there is no real virtue. So virtue born of wisdom is the highest and best protection. Once you can avoid all evil, do good and purify your mind, your life will be beautiful. So here I mentioned under number 8, if you take care of karma, karma will take care of your life. There is nothing to fear. That's why when we live life, we just live. Because everything is just the way it is. Condition like that, things will be like that. It cannot be otherwise. If you don't take care of karma, don't take care of life, don't develop all this understanding, you will suffer. It is the nature's law. And all these are very clear to the cultivator of the way who understand. Yeah. So this understanding is very important. Then like I explained, whatever that arises or happen, the Buddha already mentioned, there are causes and conditions behind. Therefore, what happened is the reality of the moment. It cannot be otherwise. This is what is. The isness of things. There's condition like that, things will like that. So when you act according to memory, which is your accumulated wrong view, tradition, belief system, conditioning, and the three evil roots, etc., you are in fact acting according to your fear, your worry, your anxiety, your insecurity, your selfishness, your ego, etc. Instead, you should act according to wisdom and understanding, born of Noble Eightfold Path cultivation. So with right view, you act following Noble Eightfold Path. You can act following Noble Eightfold Path, which is the path that leads to the end of all suffering. So starting with right view, born of wisdom, the direct seeing, the awakening, then you will respectively have the understanding to evolve the right thought, right speech, right action, and know how to live your life accordingly, right living, right livelihood. Then you will also know how to develop the four right effort to constantly purify, to constantly develop the cultivation and progress. Then after that, the rest of the path factor will be naturally there. Because with the right view, it will develop what they call the faith, the understanding. For you to go this way, then you will cultivate sati or mindfulness, right mindfulness, samasati, leading to samadhi, samadhi. So all the noble eightfold path will fall into place. And through that, it will bring about the end of all suffering. No more problem. Okay, we move on to note number 9. The law of karma. The Buddha said, we are all born of our karma, heir to our karma, conditioned and supported by our karma. And we are all what we are because of our karma. So whatever that arises, there are causes and conditions behind is definitely linked to karma. Because almost 100%. You are born of it, heir to it, conditioned and supported by it. And you are what you are because of your karmic nature, your karmic past. So what else can be the reason behind all the things that happen to you? It has to be your karma. Therefore, act with wisdom to not blaming any other people or yourself anymore. And not getting angry or fearful. As one understands, it is all karma related. And this will lead to wisdom, lead to acceptance. No point being miserable over what happened, because this is the reality. This is what is the isness of things. Condition like that, things will be like that. So accept the reality of the moment, as most likely you have done this to others in the past. And now there is condition for you to receive the coming effect. So you have to go through it. So there are certain karmic things that you need to develop the understanding to accept what happened, to endure, and to allow it to pass. Then some of this karmic can be reversed through wisdom and understanding. When you avoid the condition for its arising, you can actually avoid them. And through wisdom, you can actually come to develop the ability to let it reverse itself. I realized in the early days of my cultivation when I saw how all this karmic thing come, the moment I understand, it straight away reverse itself. Yeah. Of course, I need to do a few things. I start to do what I need to do. If I need to ask for forgiveness, I ask for forgiveness. Then if I need to invoke power of merits for turnaround, I invoke them. Yeah. Because the second advice that I always give you is you vow not to repeat all this wrong thing again by following the advice of the Buddha to cultivate the Dhamma, following his advice to avoid all evil doer and purify. That one I have already cultivated, so I don't need to do that anymore. I only need to do what I need to do. Ask for forgiveness. Then develop the power, invoke power of marriage for turnaround. Then allow things to be. Then move. This is what life is. This is what understanding can bring forth. The benefit to help one overcome whatever life situation one is facing. So invoking power of merits, asking for forgiveness and repentance are very important steps. Then following the advice of the Buddha not to repeat all this is what cultivation is. It's how you develop the progress, how you strengthen and build up your karmic nature, leading to your ability to develop your spiritual nature later on as you develop more and more understanding to perfect your cultivation. Okay, move the thing up a bit. Huh? Okay. If you have the wisdom not to react to what happened, you are at peace. So that one is the first thing you have to understand and do. When you don't react and stir your mind, don't blame anybody or blame yourself, then you are at peace. Means you have clarity of mind to understand what happened. Then you can act to resolve things amicably, the Dhamma way, and move on. So this is how we apply the Dhamma and actually develop the understanding and wisdom to break free. Because with clarity of mind, we can reflect, contemplate what actually happened. Then when we know what happened, we can develop the understanding to resolve it amicably. We are following the Dhamma way, which is the Noble Eightfold Path. No more wrong view, wrong thought, negative emotion, and all those things. No more scarcity. Now it's all based on Dhamma understanding, following the Noble Eightfold Path, which can bring about the end of all suffering. And that is what this teaching is all about. When we understand this teaching, we can develop the understanding of it to understand life, to live life, to develop all the beautiful understanding of life. Then we can get to experience all of the pristine beauties and wonders of life. And life become different. Life take a turn and become meaningful, wonderful, amazing, and really, really different. So this is the beauty of this teaching, the Buddha Dharma that the Buddha taught us. And this one, money cannot buy. That understanding is beyond any amount of materialistic valuation. Yeah. Because all of conditioned things, like the Buddha said, they are anicca, dukkha, anatta. Not what you think. Yeah. So this conditioned Dhamma, within the conditioned world, they are not what you think. Like the Dhamma Sutta say, 一切有为法，如梦幻泡影，如露亦如电，应作如是观. The English translation is, everything within the conditioned world are conditioned Dhamma. And what are conditioned Dhamma? 如梦 is like a dream, dreamlike. Huan is illusion. Pao is bubble. Yin is shadow. So how real can it be? So when we look at all this, the conditioned world is like an illusionary world, dreamlike. That everything that arises and passes away is like the bubble, arise, gone, pop, gone, pop, gone. Even the only reality within the moment, split second, is dead and gone. And that is the highest in life, the only reality. So how real can life be? Then like the shadow, they always follow you. How real can it be? It's just a shadow. No reflection, no condition, the shadow disappears. Then the next stanza is 如露亦如电. It's like a morning dew and a lightning flash. Sometimes it lasts longer, the phenomena, like the morning dew. After a while, it's still gone when the sun rises. Then like a lightning flash, most of them is lightning flash, very fast, it's gone, it's gone, split second is gone. You must contemplate it such, 应作如是观. And this is the highest understanding within the Dhamma Sutta, within the Canadian world. So when you understand this, you really penetrate the teaching and you become different. You're no longer deluded. You're no longer deceived by the phenomenal world of consciousness and form. Then form, consciousness, has got no power over you. Then what happens is, you understand them for what they are, and they will collapse in front of you. Then everything becomes clear, like you awaken. Then you realize everything is dependent, originating, condition arising. No reality, not what you think. That's why we call it empty nature existence. Life is not what you think. When you hold on to it, cling on to it, give meaning to the mundane mind and thought, it's like it's real. But it's only a thought. When the thought is gone, everything ceases to be. That's why when you understand it's just a thought, how come it has power over living being and cause them to have so much suffering? How come the picture got off for a while? Sorry, I just found the picture went off. Okay, so we go back to the notes. Number 10 is a continuation of number 9. To resolve issue amicably, we need to apply Noble Eightfold Path, which I have gone through. Right view leading to the arising of right thought, right speech, right action, etc., following the advice of the Buddha to avoid all evil, to good, and purify the mind. Then develop wisdom to comprehending the law of dependent origination, paticca samuppada, or dwelling, to understand how you function as a human being, how your mind functions, and the other essential Dhamma or teachings of the Buddha, like the Four Noble Truths, is tree turning, and other related essential Dhamma that was spin off from there. That's why the Four Noble Truths and this tree turning are the core teaching, the essential teaching. From there, all the other essential Dhamma arise. Then you will know how to act because you will know what dukkha is. You will know the cause of its arising. Then you will also know that suffering need not be, because cessation of suffering, which is the realization of the enlightened state of Nibbana in the here and the now, is possible. And the path to realize it is through cultivating the Noble Eightfold Path. So all these are connected and linked. Then there are two types of mind, the mundane mind and the true mind. So all cultivators of the way must realize this, understand this. The true mind is your silent mind, your meditative mind, or your true nature within. When your thoughts stop, no more thinking, no more mundane thinking, activity of mind, then the pure nature, the awareness nature, they will surface. That is your true mind. Then what is mundane mind? Mundane mind is your thinking mind, your condition arising, dependent originating mind, or the heedless monkey mind. Meditation is to realize one's true mind. That's why Master Huineng's teaching is to bring one directly to the true mind. When you silence your true mind in pure awareness will be able to see how the mundane mind functions and operates, and insight into phenomena to realize the three universal characteristics of nature, which is anicca, dukkha, and anatta. So all this, they are very easy to comprehend by now. Then we move on to note number 13. Due to avijja, ignorance, thinking or sankara activity arise. This one I explained before already, causing the mundane mind to arise. To cease avijja, one needs the Dhamma, the right view or wisdom to straighten one's view. Without sakayaditi or self-delusion, you will understand that the form of mind is impermanent, is dependent originating, hence not you, is not a permanent unchanging entity. Then the three evil roots of greed, hatred, and delusion cannot arise because of this wisdom. Then note number 14. These three evil roots arise due to one's self-delusion, sakayaditi, believing that this form of mind is real, is you, or it exists, causing the I, or the ego, or personality to arise. With the deluded ego, or personality, wanting to own, possess, and control things, grasping and clinging arise, giving rise to the evil roots of greed, which is selfishness, possessiveness, and greediness. As you think you exist, you also become emotional, angry, jealous, which is the evil roots of hatred, and sometimes insecure and fearful, the evil roots of delusion. Then point number 15. When you can see them as condition arising, dependent originating, and causal phenomena that arise when the supporting conditions are there, then you will awaken via insight into the three universal characteristics of impermanent, suffering, and non-self, or the anatta nature, which are inherent in all things within the conditioned world. And this one you can see them when you have mindfulness. That's why you need mindfulness, stability of mindfulness and awareness. And to see them clearly, to awaken is very important. And you will understand clearly why this form of mind or body and mind is not you, but merely a karmically conditioned vehicle and tool for you to come to this existential world of ours. So this one I've gone through. You only need to realize it. Yeah. Point number 16. Thus contemplate daily that this body of ours is of the nature to grow old, get sick, and die. So no amount of sorrow, sadness, and lamentation can bring back the dead. Nothing actually dies because there is here no you, here no me. No mark of a self cultivating, no mark of others, and no mark of even Dhamma, existence and life. So this one is Huineng's hallmark of his teaching. This penetrative understanding from the Diamond Sutta and the Heart Sutta will bring forth the wisdom needed to live life beautifully within this existential world. And you understand all this, you become very different. Then point number 17. Human beings tend to follow their thought, the mundane mind, instead of their heart, which is the conscience. Thought is neither good or bad. It depends on the use of thought. Therefore, one must know how to use thought. With Dhamma wisdom, thought become right thought. Without wisdom, these thoughts come from memories, which are filled with fear, insecurity, greed, and delusion, devoid of the conscience, the sincerity, and virtue. On the other hand, with conscience, sincerity, and virtue, one cannot harm others. But for human beings without wisdom, the cunning, deluded, mundane mind takes over. But when you understand the Dhamma, your mind is beautiful. Yeah. So that is the big difference without understanding and with understanding. Then point number 18. How can the heart and organ have a conscience? That question is very beautiful. Because the life force pumps the heart. That's how the heart area receives the karmic or life force. The final link is for one to come to this existential world, one needs the form and mind, the vehicle and the tool to come. So the karmic force and mind that comes due to karma residing within the heart. The karmic force and mind that comes due to karma, it resides within the heart. That's why that is the seat of consciousness. Then the gateway to your nature is also within your heart. That's the reason why when you are in the natural state of silence without thought, your true nature or conscience, which resides around your heart area, is sensitive. And it can truly feel with its pure awareness. But very fast, your mundane mind takes over and causes you to doubt or justify. When one meditates with understanding, one will come into contact with one's true mind. Then when you continue to relax into all mind states that arise and silence everything, your nature will become very different. It will be able to detect the gateway and all your external energies which you have developed. They will melt or flow soothingly into that gateway and become pure energy. The true mind is also your conscience with no evil and no ego, thus anatta. That true mind or silent mind, which is connected to the form and mind, can meditate and cause one to insight into phenomena or awaken to truth, the reality and all of nature's law. This wisdom, which is then connected to the form and mind, can cause the form and mind to become enlightened. But this, your present life, segmented form and mind, or your nature, is not you, because it is anatta, dependent originating, condition arising. It's not a permanent and changing entity. Then point number 19. Every living being has this true mind. That is the conscience, inborn, which won't do evil. However, most human beings don't understand what that is, and they tend to override it via their own mundane thinking or mundane thought activity. The heart is the conscience. The gateway to our nature is also inside the heart. Hence the famous quote, always follow your heart. For example, when you go looking for property, your nature will know. If you feel comfortable and good with the place before any thought comes in to delude you, then you can buy that property. Only when you feel good, you buy. With Dhamma understanding, every day is an auspicious day. Without the Dhamma understanding, an auspicious could also turn into an inauspicious day. When heart or conscience comes from your nature's understanding, your heart and conscience comes from your nature's understanding and wisdom. For those unenlightened, they can hardly perceive their conscience. Even if it arises, it can only guide them for a while, maybe a split second, before their thought or mundane mind comes in and override or take over. Point number 20. But he was able to explain all this because his nature understands. And all this sharing from him are not from any book or any other sources. Today's sharing is a true gem, covering the whole understanding of life and the cultivation. To understand this Dhamma cultivation, which is the first phase of Dhamma, Pariyatti, which is the learning of the teaching. Pariyatti is not that difficult, but to realize it, we are putting it to practice. Patipati, the second phase of Dhamma, is more difficult. And this may take time. When one awakens, then one gets to realize Pativeda, the third phase of Dhamma. Pativeda is the phase where one get to live the noble life of a Arya or an enlightened being. And one gets to reap the fruit of one's hard work and practice or cultivation. Point number 21. What makes the world turn around? It is love. Here love is not universal love. Here love is craving, attachment, possessiveness, emotion, loss, and passion. When your thought develops craving to own and have things, leading to strong will, power, to plot, to scheme, and deceive, then by hook or by crook, you need to have it. But with Dhamma, you cannot do all these things that normal deluded people do. Huh? How come the thing cut off again? See now? Huh? Cut off again, blank. Oh, come back already. I think the connection. Oh, gone again. The connection. You check the connection. Huh? Gone again.
No, I pull up.
Oh, you pull out.
Yeah.
Then how to read? Come back again. Okay. Okay. Now I can read. Okay. Okay, ready? Okay, I read on. By hook or by crook, you need to have it. But with Dhamma, you cannot do all these things that normal deluded people do, like to do. For example, you are not greedy for money anymore. You are not violent. And you do not take advantage of others. You cannot cheat. You cannot deceive, kill, or harm others. You cannot do highly excitable and crazy worldly things, etc. And move it up. Okay. With Dhamma, you can still be part of life. But the insight is already so different. Insight here, I mean the mind, the understanding. You won't be so excitable like normal people, as there is clarity, heedfulness, and understanding, wisdom, that enable you to understand that all these are not real or not what you think. When you have this wisdom, your mind and your brain is different, and you are very sensitive, where you can sense and feel many things. You will come to understand why living beings are living beings and why they are deluded because of their ignorance inherited from karmic past. And there is nothing to be pitiful about. Because they are deluded, they would do foolish thing or deluded thing. People are just the way they are. Foolish people do foolish thing. Deluded people do deluded thing. And crazy people do crazy thing. Wonderful people do wonderful things. With this understanding, you can become a blessing to all. And you are so different, so beautiful. And you are always at peace. You have such beautiful mind and understanding. Always heedful, mindful, joyful, and contented. So this is beautiful. Huh? Okay, note 22. Bratio share is because he went through life. He understands deeply what fear, anxiety, sorrow, and lamentation are like. He saw how people suffer and he witnessed a lot of suffering during his younger days. He contemplated deep into life when he was young. where he was unique and different. He had a strong conscience to not harm any living being. The WILL is to be deleted. He has a strong conscience to not harm any living being. And when he did try to drown a mouse, he got his payback very fast, getting sinus and all those things. This one is a long story. When I was young, my mother actually caught the mouse or the rat. I think at that time I was only 9 or 10 years old. Then he saw me around the house. He said, come, come, come. He said, get rid of this rat. I really had a big dilemma. I don't know what to do. It was in the cage. So I think I wonder what to do for about 15 minutes. And suddenly an idea arises. Maybe I just leave it in the, and we got our area where we take our bath. We have a storage area where we store this water for us to use and bath. So I was thinking maybe I just sink the thing down, then the rat will suffocate and die. But I didn't realize that the rat cannot die because they can survive underwater. So what happened was I let it go down. Then after about 5-10 minutes, I brought it out. It was still alive. But I can sense how the rat, when it was underneath the water, like have difficulty in breathing and all those things. That's why after that, my mother did something when I grew up at the age of 35, I think. That time I already know the Dhamma, but I have to pay back. And without me knowing, she put something which I gave to her. She asked for it. And it's supposed to keep away all this, what they call, I forgot already, the rodents or what. It's not supposed to come. He go and put underneath my bed without telling me. Then in the office, I forgot about it. I put one back on my aircon window there. So for the whole month, I've been smelling this thing until I got sinus. Means I have to pay back. But I forgot about it. Then later on, when I saw that thing, then I asked my mom, what happened? How did this? He said, I thought your room need to be protected. So she gave it to me and put underneath my bed without telling me. So a lot of things I have to pay back. So this is what karmic is. You have to be careful. Okay, go back to the notes. I have to go through it fast. He further shared things we do due to ignorance in the past will come back to haunt us when there is condition, means karmic friction. And with wisdom, one cannot do any harm to anyone. But before you are connected to your true nature, you can still sometimes make mistakes. And because of your unique spiritual and karmic nature, when you come, your karmic nature, vows, and your understanding will prepare you because you are different. You will know you are different and you will understand somehow. Just like when I was young. When Brother was young, he too has this very strong feeling, the sense that he was different. But at that time, he can't understand what it is, the full big picture, until later. As he matured and grew older, he witnessed how things unfold so beautifully and naturally. In the year 1986, via a special message from one of the great beings, Kuan Yin Bodhisattva, Bhakti started his cultivation sincerely and diligently. During those 3 years, 1986 to 89, he was cultivating full-time, 24 hours via daily mindfulness. And during this period, all the teachers come, the guide come, the book come, message come, and his understanding and transformation kept unfolding Then when his form and mind connect in the year 1989, everything became very clear. Since then, 1989, his nature and his nature's understanding have evolved so beautifully until it has become so strong in inverted comma and stable. And his life was so meaningful, beautiful, and wonderful. Just like what is stated in the Heart Sutta, true emptiness is wonderful existence. Okay, point 23. All this understanding of the karmic nature and spiritual nature and other nature's law, especially law of karma that Brother Teo has shared with us, are not documented in any book. Most cultivators also cannot understand such teaching unless they also have that type of cultivation in nature. According to Brother Teo, this karma is not stored somewhere, but recorded via nature's law of karma and is linked to our karmic nature. When his present segmented form and mind comes to this world, it can sense and see all the unique signs and happenings unfolding when he was young. And that was the reason why he knew he was different. Later on, as he grew up, and after he has developed the ability to receive and inherit all his past cultivation, he started to understand how all this unique unfolding that happens naturally are possible. And it is as if it is all meant to be, as if everything has been planned and taken care of. It is as if my nature doesn't have to do anything apart from just accord and flow with nature's condition as they unfold so beautifully. Then point 24. Speaking from his own experience, Bertio shared that once his meditation enables him to connect to his true nature, this wisdom and understanding keep arising. The karmic nature starts operating upon conception of the being, the five aggregates of form and mind. But for the spiritual nature, it is different because before you connect to your true nature, you cannot inherit anything from that. But the moment you connect, you will progress very fast because you will start to inherit from the spiritual nature immediately after that. One progresses very fast from then on and can reach back to one's previous cultivation level of their past life very fast. Once connected, the cultivator will continue his cultivation from where he or she stopped in those lifetimes. When you have touched your true nature and realized your true nature, you will be able to access the gateway to your nature. The only way to do that is via cultivating the Bodhisattva way. The sainthood way is still very elementary, not as complex or complete. Equating it to the handful of leaves versus those leaves in the forest, in the whole lot of forest. The sainthood way is only a handful of leaves, mainly the Four Noble Truths and its three turnings teaching. The Bodhisattva way is much more comprehensive because it involves the cultivation of the 10 perfection over long periods of time, especially the paramis on perfection of wisdom. The Bodhisattva way is therefore definitely not easy, but it's rewarding and very wonderful. Okay, we stop here. Okay, so we will, as usual, have our 3 minutes of toilet break. Those who wants to go for toilet break. Then after that, we will have our 45 minutes of awareness-based meditation. We are off the light, and you can have your 45 minutes of awareness-based meditation. Remember the first three support, and stabilize your awareness nature. So I will let you meditate on your own. I will set the alarm for 45 minutes. Just relax body and mind completely. Don't try to know, don't try to do anything. Just aware, maintain awareness, the second support. relax body and mind, maintain awareness, and stabilize it. Okay. Then for those who know how to meditate, the last support is trust. Trust your nature to develop the ability to locate the gateway and do the meditation on its own. You can slowly, mindfully come out of meditation. Try to maintain whatever inner peace, inner calmness, and inner awareness for as long as you can. Okay, now we'll continue with our second session, which is meditation reporting, followed by Q&A or any question you may have regarding the meditation, the Dhamma, the teaching, and how to apply this teaching to help you understand life, overcome whatever life problems and situations that one may have. Okay, we get Man Yuan to share first. She got a question.
Right, just now you asked me about the Paticha
Samappada, yeah.
I was just wondering, how come you start with Sankara and not the external sense spaces? Because everything.
No, the first thing that arises is ignorance. Without ignorance, this Paticca Samuppada doesn't move. So because of ignorance, there is Sankara. So you need to start with ignorance. The ignorant conditions Sankara activity. So as I explained, ignorant means you don't have the understanding of truth, means the noble truth or the essential truth, or the nature's law that governs life and existence. So inability to have the understanding is what is ignorance is all about. So living being, almost most of them before they become enlightened, they don't understand. They don't know what Dhamma is. They don't know what truth is. They don't understand who they are, and what is this existence all about. That's why there are a lot of very mystical questions. What happened after death? What will happen to the living beings after they die, especially human beings? So they got various story about heaven and hell. Then they got also other version of what existent life is. So like Christianity, they believe in the devil, the ghost, the angel, and also the Father, or what they call God. So many of these religions, they come out with their own explanation of what life is, existence is. But there is one thing that they always want you to do. You have to believe. You cannot accept, don't believe, and expecting to happen. So their approach is different. First, what the Buddha has discovered is he went into all this search for truth and understanding on his own, basing on his own existence, means on my mind. He doesn't have to believe in anything. He just develop the cultivation, the perfection, then develop the meditative understanding. Then they come out with all this understanding and share. And all this understanding are basically what they call very scientific in its approach. Means it can be understood by each and every one of us, normal human being, if you put it into practice, cultivate it, and develop the understanding. It's no different from learning science. Science is to develop understanding of the scientific law, nature, the physical law, the biological order, then they progress. Whereas the spiritual law is different. Spiritual law, you have three. The first one is law of karma, based on moral causation, cause and effect, but the moral mental intention is involved. Then there is this nature's order of the mind, law of mind, chitta niyama, where you must know how mind arises and how mind function. So they call that the understanding of both the mundane mind and the true mind. And the mundane mind follow a law, which is the Buddha call it the Paticca Samuppada, the law of dependent origination. So your question is, why do I start with you use the word Sankara first? So to you, it's like the sense basis should be the thing. You are not wrong in that sense, because without sense basis, consciousness cannot arise. That's why you need the sense basis, Salayatana. Then I already explained just now, as a living being or a human being, for our case, we need the three conditions for all this form and mind to arise, or the so-called human being to arise. Then how is this animated into a human being is because of the three conditions. First is, at the moment of birth, there is a rebirth consciousness that already enter the womb, or the what they call newborn fetus. So that rebirth consciousness, sometimes it come a bit later, it's not immediate. The first thing that happens is for us as human beings, as we all know through science, you have to have the condition for the male and female to have the what they call come together of the mating of the sperm and the ovum. Sometimes they not go through the actual sexual intercourse or what. Sometimes they can do it like test tube baby or what. They can isolate the sperm and fertilize it the ovum. Then they can actually develop it in the test tube and implant it into the mother's womb and let the baby actually develops. But what is important is that process, which is nature's process. Yeah. So that coming together of the sperm and the ovum is the first thing. Then initially is the single cell that multiply and become what is it, very complicated. Then according to science, they also know it take a while, a few weeks before the what they call fetus develop into a proper size that has all the basic senses. Yeah. And initially the brain also not developed yet. So they get their nutrient through the mother, the umbilical cord that supply the nutrient, all those things. Then they grow. Yeah. Then basically after certain period, the doctor also realized they can actually, through their instrument, detect the heartbeat of the fetus. So the heartbeat also came later, not immediate. Not immediate. So the rebirth consciousness normally is the first one to actually enter. But the rebirth consciousness, when it's there, it is like not active at all, where there is no brain, no proper what they call support system like the senses and all those things. So it's like trapped inside. Then later with the life force, it animate into a life form. Then later on, maybe it reach the what they call appropriate condition for birth to take place. Yeah. So by the time it's born, it's already a proper baby, but still newborn. newborn. Yeah. Then after that, it is still very pure in that sense. The consciousness, everything is pure consciousness. They don't have brain activity, no accumulated memory and all those things, no views, no opinion, no condition. So they are very naive, very cute. So they actually exist like a normal baby without any of this conditioning and all those things. But as they grow up, they receive all this, what they call uh, conditioning from whoever who take care of them, interact with them, the guardian, the guide, and maybe raise them. Then later on, through the environment, the education, the social media, everything, they have this ability to influence them and cause them to behave in certain way. But a lot of this uh, individual character or what we call personality that arise, a lot are based on your karmic past, that condition your DNA and all those things. Who are your parents and how you inherit all those and your karmic past. There's like same parents, sometimes they have a lot of children. All the children, the siblings, they are all very different because of their karmic imprint and all these things. So we see this. We don't have to believe any of this. We see even in my family, I saw 9 of us brothers and sisters, all different, but same parents, same environment, similar condition. I would say similar condition. And when we are born, until we grew up, that process, most people don't know what is happening unless you have your past. Then when you are young, you know certain thing is different. You are unique. Like my nature when I was very young, I can recall back. I got no thought at all, even until the age of 5. Uh, I got no thought at all. My mind is like blank, very naive, very cute. Everybody liked me. And then luckily my parents took me to the studio to take some photo of me when I was very young. I think 1 over a year old that time. I looked at that photo and I grew up because my family kept them. I saw it was beautiful. The innocent look and all those things. Then as I grew up, I went through life. I experienced and encountered a lot of things that normal people don't encounter. And also because the way I inherit my karmic past and my nature, my vow, everything. Then when I come, I can see all this. I can develop like, not to say I understand at that time, but the funny thing is when it happened, I knew this is not normal. This is for me to learn, meant to be. Somehow it become like that. Then I go through all those things. And then later on, as I grew up, I also experienced the out of the body experience where I really died actually that time, age of 8 or 9. Then a lot of things for me to see how my craving force dissipate, how my consciousness come out, and how I managed to finally go in again. Then later on, when I grew up, when I developed the affinity to meditate and to develop all this understanding, then I connect. After I connect, I become very different. Then I start to understand a lot of things. And then my past understanding come back after I connect in 1989. That was the time I became very different. Mm. That's why from 89 to 2004, 15 years, I didn't do anything. I live my life like a normal people person. Then with all those understanding, yet nobody can understand what I understand, and nobody really know. So that time was a phase where, like Hui Ning, huh? Huineng was 16 years with the hunters. Nobody know who he was. I was 15 years. Then, of course, during that time, off and on, got people come and see me, but not that many, very rare, very few. And most of them cannot understand what I say. They feel curious. They know this person is different, but they cannot understand. So what happened is, after 2004, when there is condition, then Yun Chan came and requested me to come out and share on 3 occasions. Then I finally, somehow through understanding, consented. Initially, I say no. 3 times I actually say no. I say, don't worry. Every time I say no, I say, don't worry. Just let things be. When the condition is there and the time and timing is there, things will happen. So that's how it happened in 2004. Then when I started, when I try to share this, I find that not easy. What my nature understand is completely opposite of what the living being understand or do. What is commonly accepted or taught in the Buddhist community or fraternity. But nevertheless, I just continue to do what I understand. Then I realized after teaching for 2 or not even 2 years, I think 1 year, I realized what the living being need is not the teaching, because they cannot even understand the basic teaching. The basic Dhamma understanding also not there. That's why I have to go back to the essential Dhamma and teach all the basic essential Dhamma and teaching. I had to repeat the Four Noble Truths, history turning many times, and all the essential Dhamma like many times. Then only people slowly develop the understanding. Then over the years, we were lucky actually, because everything fall into place. Then I think from 2008 onward, after the 4th year, Maitreya actually came and requested me to share this understanding with the world. He came to me in a very vivid way before I woke up. You can say it's like a dream. Like it's not a normal dream. It's very vivid before I wake up. It's very beautiful, bright color, and like very real. Then the summary of it, the end of it was he burst into that laughter, that the typical character of Maitreya, the happy Buddha, the laughing Buddha, very long. Then he just spoke this word in golden letter, which I described in the blue book, the Cultivating the Bodhisattva Way. He said, 请你把正法传下去 with the laughter together, you know. And every word he say, there is this golden letter, you know. Beautiful golden letter, you know, written in space, you know, 5 times. You know. The moment I heard that, my nature knew, you know, the message is very, very beautiful and very true and very deep. Because my nature knew I had that understanding. And these are the 2 things that I need to share with the world or society. First is, of course, the teaching, the essential Dhamma, or the thing, the teaching, like what I teach you all. Initially, the sainthood way, then the Bodhisattva way. Then the second one is the uniqueness of the Bodhisattva way. How to actually speed up the cultivation and the understanding. So all this actually happened. Then I think by next year it's going to be the 20th year my nature come out and share. Then in the year 2016, I think something really beautiful happened. The Bodhisattva way want to come out. That's why the book, the website came out, 2016, 2017. And that was how all this become possible and beautiful. So what I'm trying to explain to you all is all this understanding, like what I described under today's sharing, is not from this life. A lot of this understanding I never learned this life. Then how did my nature understand them? I must have inherited it from the past. That's why when I connect, all of a sudden, after that, I keep on having this understanding unfolding. And my nature like connect back to what I was before I actually came. Then all this understanding is so strange. That's why when I read the Theravada text or the Mahayana text, when I hear them, I understand what the teaching is. It's deep meaning, not the superficial thought base or knowledge base or what they call Dhamma knowledge that normal people develop as understanding. No, not that one. So all this, when they come, then just now your question, I was able to explain to you is because the teaching is like that. From avijja, everything starts. Without avijja, nothing happens. So avijja paccaya sankhara, that link is very powerful, like I used to explain to you all before. Avijja is ignorant. When you don't understand what happened, you want to know, isn't it? You want to develop the understanding, isn't it? So one thing to know, one thing to experience and understand, what you do? You go and think, understand? No? That's why because of that craving, the lack of understanding, which is avijja, condition you to think. And thinking is what? Mental activity, mental thinking, understand? No? That's why avijja conditions sankhara. And sankhara, the basic Theravada tradition teaching is not well understood because what is understood is they use a lot of words, English equivalent, to actually try to explain what Sankara is. Sometimes they say Sankara is mental activity. Sometimes they say it's mental volition. Then sometimes they use the word mental states, mental formation. In fact, Sankara is everything that your mind can do, including feeling and perception. That's why in the Abhidhamma, Sankara has 52 states, 5 states, including Sanya and Vedana. Vedana and Sanya, which is feeling and perception. So this is what the content of consciousness is, but they don't know. They don't understand. So the explanation given make it very confusing. So in the Paticca Samuppada, because they cannot see those links, they didn't have the mindfulness to meditate to see all those things and understand how the dwelling come about, the Paticca, and they don't know how to explain it. So they use the traditional, popularly accepted teachings of 3 periods of time, which is logical and very straightforward to them to explain. But they didn't understand one aspect. If it's over 3 periods of time, it happened, the dwelling one cycle, then what is the use of learning it? It must be something useful that happen every now and then, every moment, every instant within life and existence. So when I read the book, I knew it's wrong. But what I saw in my mind was different. What I saw, the activity and the movement was different. And I understand what this Sankara is. That's why I can know. Due to ignorance or avijja, wanting to know, wanting to experience, wanting to develop the understanding, you think. And what is thinking? Thinking is arising the thought and the sana, creating the thought, the concept, the idea, the whatever views, opinion, and accumulated experiences that we have. From there, we create this thought process to respond to all these memories which are accumulated. Then I saw the brain doing all these things. So to think, you need to go to the brain, the memory. Then you can perceive, you can label it and create all those, what they call views, opinion, meaning, and other things. So avijja paccaya sankara means sankara, you go to the brain, make contact with the brain. And the brain is an organ, like the physics experiment. Upon contact, the switch, it will light up in a. And the lighting up is vijnana. Vijnana is the what they call receptacle, the consciousness, the pure consciousness, like the Buddha said, in the seeing is only that seeing God. And that consciousness is arrived, they're lighting up. So at that moment of seeing, it's just that consciousness. No one to see. So the Buddha was very wise. He knew. He said, upon contact, consciousness arrives. So what is that consciousness? He said, in the seeing is only that seeing consciousness. That consciousness, no one to see. It's just that consciousness or seeing. There's nobody there. But when the Sakaya deity, self-delusion, born of your views, opinion, conditioning, belief system, your wrong view, when you input that content, the egoic mind went in and become a thought. That's how I understand. Avijja paccaya sankara, sankara paccaya vijnanam. Vijnanam, the pure consciousness, receive the content and become form and mind, nama rupang. What is nama rupang? Nama rupang is our five aggregate. Rupang is the form. And what is this form? External form. Mind make the external form that enters the mind through our perception. That's why that one creates the mental form. Then within the consciousness, you input those content which the mind can do. What can your mind do? Your mind can feel, can perceive, can arise the mental states, which is sankara. That's why they call the content of consciousness Vedana, Sanya, and Sankara. Actually, Sankara is the whole content, including Vedana and Sanya. But why the Buddha separate Vedana and Sanya? That one is very important. Because you have to understand feeling is the first thing that trigger off the conditioning into craving. Without feeling, there is no craving. When you don't have understanding, the craving will arise. Your like and dislike, pleasant and unpleasant sense experience. So feeling, they say, got three types. Actually, initially, that pure feeling has none of all this. But when feeling is being conditioned into pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral feeling, then the craving has gone in. That's why you still call it feeling, but it has become pleasant, unpleasant, and neutral feeling. Means that feeling is no more pure feeling. That's why the enlightenment, especially the Arahant and Bodhisattva and beyond, their feeling is non-grasping. Non-grasping means what? There is no avijja, no ignorance. It does not grasp. Means it does not become like craving. It don't have that delusion to grasp, cling and hold and get itself entangled. No, it cannot happen because of their wisdom. So the Paticca Samuppada, when you understand it differently, the way it is. Not the one explained in the book. The one explained in the book is like they need logical explanation. So they say because of ignorance, when you die ignorant, what happens is the sankhara is called karmic volition, is it? You know what is karmic volition? Or your last thought moment. Volition is your mental intention. So karmic volition is your last thought moment that condition rebirth consciousness. So the Vijnana, the third one, the link, become rebirth consciousness. Then when you are born from rebirth consciousness, you become a form and mind, means a living being. The first aspect of the five aggregate of formula. If you explain it like that, it's logical, easy for people to accept. Then he said, because you are born as a human being, you have the sense basis. It's very convincing. True or not? And because you have the sense basis, there will be contact. Because sense data come in, the consciousness make contact. It trigger off feeling. Then feeling condition craving. Craving condition grasping. Grasping condition becoming. And the whole Paticca Samuppada like correct. Yeah. But they don't understand when it becomes something, becoming. They don't know what the becoming is. They thought going for next birth already. So when the becoming arises, it conditions jati, which is birth. They say you die again and you're born into another life. That's why they have the three phases of life. First, because of ignorance, you die. Okay? Then the karmic volition give rise to rebirth consciousness. Then the human being comes, second life. Then after that, you die again. You take birth again. So every time birth condition the whole mass of suffering. But when birth arises, all age, sickness, and death and suffering will follow, which is correct, very logical. So the community, the Buddhist community, find this very interesting. That's why it's written in all the tick book, the Visuddhimagga, all the explanation is based on the three lifetimes. And most people dare not go against the authority. They dare not like explain it in any other way. Maybe also because they don't know how to explain it in any other way. So because of that, the teaching has been like that. Then later on, when I went to Thailand, I went to Sonmok, where I met Ajahn Buddhadasa. Then I saw one book that he wrote about the Paticca Samuppada. He said he don't believe in the three period of time. He does not accept. He believes in the instantaneous one, but he cannot explain the way I explain. So a lot of these things was very strange. Then when I saw that book, I rejoiced. That's why I went there a few times, Shamo. And he was my teacher, Ajahn Yantra's teacher. And he's very good, Ajahn Buddhadasa. He wrote a few books which are very good. He even wrote about the four aspects of nature, which I find it very interesting. He said, first, there is nature. Then number two, there are laws that governs nature. He knows. Then after that, number three is there is a duty that one needs to do towards the law of nature. And that is beautiful. If you don't have the enlightenment and the awakening, you will not know. That's why of right duty, the enlightened disciple of the Buddha, they will know. You must do your duty. So if you do your duty, you will get the fruition of it. So the fourth aspect is you get to live the noble life of enlightenment. So it's like the three phases of Dhamma that the Buddha taught: Pariyatti, Patipatti, and Pativeda. Yeah. So he put it in such beautiful manner. That's why I find his teaching very interesting, very beautiful. Then he also wrote the Handbook of Mankind, which my teacher Ajahn Rantra liked. He liked to read that book. Because that one teaches about the empty nature of existence. Atta, Attaniya, and Anatta. He wrote a lot of books actually. He's a very wise monk and he's very famous at that time. And his temple is called Swanmok because it's Swanmok, the meaning is garden of liberation. Garden of liberation. And it really fits that word. Where you go there, it's like you go to a garden of liberation. You can receive enlightenment, understanding, and training. So he was the only one I realized of all the monks there to point out that the three period of time is not the actual understanding and happening. That's why in my Patija Samappada book, in the preface, I quoted him. I mentioned that thing. So if you read the Patija Samappada based on my transcribed type of sharing, I did that sharing on Patija and they transcribed the book, and the book is very good. Very, very good. And I explained the three period of time one traditionally believed based on logic and all those things, and the one that is actually happening. There is this photostat copy. I remember the first copy was a blue color one. Then later on, I used the yellow color. They are there, I think, in the early years. That teaching was taught before 2008 actually. During 2005 when I first came out. So when I teach that one, hardly anybody understand. They all like catch no ball. Don't know what I was trying to teach or share. So that was how all this understanding, which I inherited after 1989, when my nature connect, all this understanding came back. And I was able to comprehend all this. And that's why in my teaching, in my sharing, if you don't listen to the whole teaching, you will not be able to get the full picture. The full picture is after you have gone through all the sharing and the teaching, especially the website there. And then you realize they are all connected. And the whole picture is like a big zigzag puzzle all fall into place. Uh, and the most beautiful phase was these few phases. When I went to Wu Pingqing's Miss Lee there to teach and share the Heart Sutta, and they compile it into a book. That's why the Heart Sutta short notes. That one is very complete. And when I saw that book, I knew it's meant to be. That's why I told you all don't need any more Theravada tradition Dhamma. For the sainthood way, that one is very complete. All is there. Then later on, 2016, the other book came out, the Bodhisattva way. Then after that, the website came out. So all this is like meant to be. Yeah? So this Heart Sutta book also, I think, in the year 2015, first edition. Then after that, the Bodhisattva way. Then second edition is during MCO, 2020. The second edition is better because it has a lot of subheading. Subheading. The first edition, we don't have that luxury or helper to help us come up with all this subheading. So all this subheading come about, I remember, was because that time Padmasuri was helping out and she find it very interesting. So she together with, I think, other Kayamita, when they did that, what they call that first edition that time, there were some of this heading there, but we didn't put it. We didn't put it. Then later on, when we want to print the second edition, then only we realized these are important. That's why all these were put in. So when you look back, you start to understand how come everything like fall into place. Means like meant to be, like Eckhart Tolle say, the power of the now. The book want to come out, it come out. So now the whole thing has been more or less completed, and we are moving on to the third phase. And the third phase is for the Kayamita to progress. And the Kayamita force has been so amazingly beautiful because of what we did through the Kayamita funds and all this activity. And it has actually developed the condition for a lot of Kayamita to develop this style of understanding. That's why lately, the last few years, you all can understand very quickly. And I remember it all started with the MCO when I started to do a revision on this Heart Sutta book. And I think we took 8 months. And that time so happened my daughter come back, all the condition for the play, and we do Zoom and all those things. So it's like meant to be. And during that 8 months, many people benefited, especially Puja. Because the Heart Sutta book, normally we have all those photostat notes, certain chapter on it. Then we use it during the retreat, the early years. Then later on, when the Heart Sutta book was ready, we used the Heart Sutta book. But we rushed through everything within what? 8 to 9 days. So 8 to 9 days, how can you all absorb unless you have your past and you are very good? So at that time, it's not easy. That's why later on when I share over 8 months, compare 8 to 9 days become 8 months, so different. A lot of people develop the interest, the understanding, and the cultivation. Then the faith develop. Then after that, I told you now is the third phase. This third phase is very beautiful. Where this third phase, a lot of Kayamita is going to develop the ability to understand and progress and transform. That's why this retreat, hey, those who can make it, you better come. It's going to bring forth a lot of causes and conditions for many things to happen. But for some, if you can't make it, you must listen to the recording. The recording will be very useful. Then I think based on our last retreat that we had last year in August, China also has evolved and developed a very good, what they call short video type of thing. He will need like what happened at the last retreat. You all to help put in the title, or he will help you to put in the title. Then you all go and select your whatever title. Sorry, the short video based on what you listen. I think you give the time in the
no, they can just sort out whichever that is important and list it down.
Then list it down. Then you just edit through. So we should do that. Where the short video is very beneficial. I realize a lot of people benefited from the short video because based on the what they call feedback from this social media thing, YouTube and all that. People like short video. People don't like listening to 2-3 hour type of sharing. It's boring unless they have the interest and all those things. So short video has its attractiveness and usefulness to attract people. Then once they listen and they got attracted, they want to find out more, they will go and subscribe and maybe wait for you to share with them. That's why I saw the subscriber one. Now reach up to 500 plus already. Oh, our Kayamita only about maximum 200 hours only. But the amount of subscriber that want to listen has reached more than double of that, almost 500 plus. So all this shows that there are people who has the understanding that over the last 2-3 years, I think a lot of people who don't know me, they just write to me through email and all this thing, and wants to develop the understanding. And then not long ago, I think 2-3 days ago, we had this sister singing, remember, from Klang. She went to Denmark, now almost 8 years already. Then she came to know a friend in Denmark, I think, the Danish friend. And this guy also very interesting, I think, got his past and meant to be. So they were here on a trip, I think, come back here for, I don't know, 2 or 3 weeks, I cannot remember. And they just left, I think. They came and on the last day see me to buy me lunch. But instead, I said, no, you all come so far. I will buy them lunch. So we had a very good session. He came. Then he met Sri An earlier on. Then they talk about our body experience. Then Sri An said, you better go and see Brother Teo. That's why they came. And it's meant to be. Because he like, together with singing, can understand a lot of things. So I give them this book that we are sharing, Understanding the Heart and the Mind. I said, you read through, it will help you. Then after that, the next book, I think we have to wait for Padmasri to come back after his Taiwan trip. That one will be very beautiful. The difference between awareness and consciousness. That one got written inside there, our body experience and all those things. So all these are like meant to be. And he was really interested. After he came, he talked to me. We talked for over 1 hour, I think, before we went for lunch. Then we continued there. And singing told me his friend was so engrossed with the book and so interested in what I wrote there. So it's like meant to be. And from the way I interact with him and I share with him, a lot of those sharing, actually normal people cannot understand and cannot have even the interest. But he seems to have the interest, and he can like grasp to a certain extent, which is very beautiful. So a lot of these things are happening. Okay, 6 o'clock already. I think we have to end. So we should all rejoice and thank Man Yuan for the condition. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. And also because of Man Yuan, I end up explaining all these things, which is, I think, useful because a lot of you all may not understand what is happening actually. The last 19 to 20 years, actually, a lot of things has happened. And it's also beautiful, like meant to be. So we should all rejoice. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Okay, now we shall share merit and transfer merit. and after that we can end. Akasatta Chya Bhumata Devanaga Mahindika Punyang Tang Anumoditwa Chirang Rakantu Lokasasana Ittavata Chamihi Sampadan Punya Sampadan Sabbe Deva Anumodantu Sabba Sampati Siddhya Idang me nyatinang hotu Sukita hontu nyatayo Idang me nyatinang hotu Sukita hontu nyatayo Idang me nyatinang hotu Sukita hontu nyatayo Devo asatu kalina Sasa sampati hetu cha Pito bhavatu loko cha Raja bhavatu dhammiko Imina punyang kamina Mame bala samagamo Sattang samagamo hotu Yawa nivana patiya Sadhu Sadhu Sadhu. Okay, you all can now pay respect mindfully to Lord Buddha, Guan Yin Bodhisattva, and all the worthy ones. And we end the whole session. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.